Dog.
Everybody when you see that color.
My barber that you know, no left him alone. A Jimpy barber, oh no, trouble him, my moderator. Don't trouble him. I can say anything he wants, say my barber. And give me the maddest hairstyle him. I can steer. Yes, my barber. Who come? Maddest lifestyle, man. Big up my comrade barber. My PNP barber. My PNP barber. I mean, my barber. Big up yourself. What are you doing, my boss? My barber. I mean, my barber. What? That Jones, man. Who that? Barber, who that? I did that. Come in my chat, top of a life. Yeah, right, then check. Captain on two sides. One go. How do you know, my God? Up the side there, man. See there? Up there, someone. Yes, man. See you sure them down here, sir. I can't this blood. I don't know. I don't vex you, I know. My friends come out from my life with a bomb like hungry belly pain for yourself. Daddy, so you mean I said come with the ID card. Just give me one I guess no, man, I take the blood clot. Guess none of carry no better. How old am I? What's so much police hour? You don't want so much police up here. I don't want so much police up here, blood clot. Call him in. Like up alive. Like up alive, my chat. See, yeah, two sides. I see them in the corner. I see that, eh? Yeah. One action, man. Somebody know your action. Somebody know you. Somebody know you. Somebody say one action. Come out of my. You can't decide that, you see? I'm gonna keep the peace, man. I'm gonna keep the peace. Tap up the screen, my chat. Tap up the screen. Watch this. Okay, watch it. Tap up the screen, labor right. See it there? Tap up the screen, labor right. Tap up the screen. Labor right. Tap up the screen, labor right. Tap the screen, labor right. Tap up the screen, labor. TMP up there, so 10 smarty, about 10 smarty up there. And 15. Up there. 10 or 15 smarty up there. Them a place a fast with voting. No help a line there, them a place with voting. You have about 9 to 10 somebody inside on both sides. So them a place a fast with voting. Fast. So they voting there and then thing like that then you vote. Taps and gift me chat. Come in man, come in. Yeah man, that is it. Whosoever, yeah man, that is it.
Make sure I write class in class.
You can't take 10 minutes to want somebody to vote and come here. You can't take 10 minutes. Sabotage. Never come about my business.
Alright. Time come! I don't do it already. Morning. Time home.
I want to go inside. I'm 87B.
87B?
Yeah, sure.
I stand up right on back and bring you. 78A! 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 Stand up over the so that you tie son. 78A! One person waiting. They want to confuse the crowd so the people then
Westmoreland at the Cologne Infant School where a PNP outdoor agent was in a brawl with a voter. The police had to intervene. Now, I also went to the Belmont Academy School where the numbers weren't as high as here, and it was a similar issue as persons were affirming it was a long wait time. Now, I will continue to bring you the news over here in Eastern Westmoreland, as well as Western Westmoreland and Central Westmoreland. Stay tuned. Reporting for TVJ News, I am Kimberly Petty.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. And Jody, one of the things that I continue to see is the number of senior citizens in these lines. Many of them, they are used to waking up early and getting things done from very early. And so we are going to continue hearing the reports about the long wait times. Somebody mentioned to me that they were in one of the areas where the electronic machines, and these use the fingerprints, at one of those centers, there were delays, the person said, with older persons whose fingerprints are not as clear. And so they also have it's not that the machines are not working, but with a few of the senior citizens, their fingerprints were not as clear, but the process took pretty much 2 minutes. And you know, it was smooth sailing. So I'm happy to see the use of technology, and hopefully in the next election, there will be more polling stations where we will use the EVS, because that too lessens the wait time and the delays being experienced now by persons, as we saw there in Kimberly's report in Westmoreland.
I have no experience with the electronic voting machine.
Yeah.
So I am one of those people who enjoys the feeling of going, having my tiny little pencil, marking and coming out of the polling station. I do think, though, that this move towards more electronic processing is useful, but at the same time, as always, caution is always to be called for. But making sure that older people as well get the support that they need, assistance with these machines, making sure that if your fingerprints are something that are not, as you said, easily read, that there is some sort of backup or accommodation allows for this process to go swiftly. The concern, though, about them waiting for very long periods of time, especially if they would have been there from the start of voting at 7 o'clock, if they're still in or they're still waiting to have some sort of processing, that is going to be a problem. And then we saw the brawl there and the excitement at a polling station having to now call for the intervention of the police. I think it is certainly something that, as we hear from the reports on the ground from CAFE, from the OAS, from CARICOM, from the Commonwealth, as they're all election observers today, it will be interesting to see if there are other areas that have similar incidents reported.
I think the OAS officials, they will be speaking with reporters somewhere around 1 o'clock today. As you know, these observers have been at polling stations well, I don't know if it's right across the country, but the idea is for them to visit as many polling stations as possible. And so later this afternoon, we will get an update from the OAS about some of the things that they would have observed. And of course, CAFE also will be speaking to the media. But I mean, thank goodness rather for the police. They are everywhere, and you know, they would have voted last week, and so in situations like we just saw at the brawl, they are ready to intervene to ensure that the process is as safe and smooth for everybody, and to ensure also that the law is maintained, Jody.
57% voter turnout for the police and military last week, as well as election workers who were participating today, allowing for them to deal with, as you said, those on-the-ground situations. But we also want to shout out those auxiliary police officers, what we call the one-day police, that also are part of the formal structure that allows for us to know that we have persons on the ground that are going to be maintaining law and order at these polling stations, making sure that where incidents do take place, they do not derail the entire process for all those who are coming to cast their ballots.
And I want to point back to something Kimberly said in her report. There are 6 persons on that ballot. I think, was it in Eastern Westmoreland? 6 persons. And I just want our viewers to know that there are 47 independent and third-party candidates also
I want those people in there. Boss, have on him. Watch it.
Yeah, keep it chill. No, I'm just
Look there, look there. I'm gonna make it get Here imported PNP. No, PNP is from Mall Road. Now tell you no. One piece to the level, man. We love them most, them alone, I get me vote. Vote for Labour. Vote for Labour. Yo, Andrew said answer your phone. I don't know if I phone in my car. But he said answer. Vote for Labour. Big up yourself for the vote there, Tara. Chat. 1.2K on the over here. I beg you, please, my Labour right there. Go and go vote. No, him come back 1 o'clock. And when him come back 1 o'clock, him now go back. So, we're going to have one party. We're going to duck up 2 Heineken truck. And then the bus or the car will play music. And we'll take the road for ourselves. Chat, me I beg you to go vote. Can I vote in my colour? Yeah, but you can't vote with nobody for your face. It's like how Andrew the Pandis say, but you can't vote in any colour where you want. But you can't have none of the candidates them face for your clothes. But you can't vote in any colour. The police are fighting with police boy now. Let me tell Andrew say. Yeah. Let me go to Andrew. I'm going to say Andrew. Yes, what I'm saying. That's why I say Andrew let me in. I'm coming with Andrew. He could have said no. I said put me on now. You know what? Put me out. Put me out now. Andrew got the whole of the PD and make sure I tell them say. Listen now. Don't show my people them in the sun. Don't do that. Yeah. Up there, sir. Up there, sir, one different PD. Yes, sir, my PD. So we don't go up for them places. We have our own excellence. Diane! We have our own vibe. Our vibe is one of the nicest vibes, so we're not going nowhere else. We're not going nowhere else. Show
Bro, right now, I only for TikTok live I go on. Only for clippings up on Instagram and things. We can't show everything, but I'm gonna show some of them still. So show me can show.
Down here, basketball. One buster, shower, one buster, member class. No ramp with the badness. Shower me right.
Yeah man, I read by my Facebook and me have some other where I go and show them.
Why? Don't you festive look more? Next time you do it, don't you festive look more?
TV just show some clippings and some of that most other things. Pertaining to elections, yeah.
Oh! Over here, for both sides here. Oh! Back over there. A bus in a mix. A bus. Yeah, a bus crew. Him over gone forward. In a intersection right there. Just put your phone in your pocket. Slide the phone in your pocket. You can't go on the live with it. Just slide me in your pocket. Yeah? Me no want you next two more you see, just slide me in your pocket. I know me no vote, me and the police are trained. Yeah, me must have pussy, you can't stop me from vote. Yeah, me say pussy, you can't stop me from vote. But go on. You say the alone you can't do. Fuck him! The bell sound good. Watch out. A foreigner again, so she said she don't buy me a lunch, you know. Watch out. A foreigner again in the chat. When you can't tell me no. Me a celebrity or son today. Watch it. Watch it. It's a foreigner, this public me now. Watch it. 5 grand. And now them dead again. Me a blood clot celebrity, you know about me? Boy. I be a foreigner, say them a come link me on my foot. Blood clot stealer. Watch out. I be a foreigner, fly down. But when I am
there's some news from nationwide that minor incident disrupts voting in Northwest Clarendon where 2 males were tussling over a lighter. So them allow them to vote and them urge them to go to the hospital and things. So hopefully it wasn't that serious.
Here and say, put all the pressure on them. Yeah. No, I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleep. They're not let you in. You can't go in. That's why I tell them I don't get your vote. No. Yeah. Let me in the vote. That's enough, man. It's too come on. That's not move from here, sir. Yeah, a little bit weird. The mix there. Okay. Big up yourself.
Them the live in St. Elizabeth.
Everybody start going to
I'm bringing that.
It don't make no sense. Everybody bungle block the way, right? The numbers are equal. Number call, we can have the way clear so people can pass.
That's what you that's a long time. One at a time.
because I want them to say it's ridiculous. Only for telling people more.
Of course, by the PNPs around Wellington. Well, thus far, the voting has been slow. We have a few complaints where members of the disabled community are complaining that they're not being able to cast their votes early because able-bodied persons have been somewhat preventing them from doing so. So we saw a skirmish at the Black River Primary School earlier as well, where there was a rush when the gates opened. We're currently at Brompton Primary School, for Brompton, one of 4 divisions in the Southwest constituency of St. Elizabeth. And I tell you, this is one of the constituencies where it's both parties will be watching very closely, because since 1962, whichever party has won the elections, this constituency has gone to that winning party. So it's one of the battlegrounds. It's one of the weather vane constituencies, along with southeastern St. Elizabeth, where we'll be going shortly. And of course, there's St. Mary Western, for instance. But these 2 constituencies in St. Elizabeth, southwest and southeast, are considered very, very crucial. We're yet to see Floyd Green or Miranda Wellington. I have reached out to both of them, so just waiting for a response. We understand that Floyd Green, he was to cast his vote at the Black River Primary School. We were there, but we are yet to see him. So we're hoping to catch up with him a bit later on. But in terms of voting and how that is going, like I said, relatively slow, but the voters, they have turned out and in relatively clear numbers as well on both sides. But the complaint thus far is that the process has been slow, and that they're hoping that things can be sped up a bit. Persons are complaining that they've been here from 6 o'clock. So that's very long, and they have only 3 hours by law. So that has been the main complaint thus far here in Southeast St. Elizabeth.
So much, my colleague there, Jermaine Brown in Southeast St. Elizabeth. Again, Jody, we hear the complaints about the long wait times. We soon go back to that. But earlier we reported that Jamaica Labour Party leader Dr. Andrew Holness voted. Our reporter, Romardo Lyons, was there and spoke with him.
Thanks, Janella. So as you heard earlier, I spoke with opposition leader Mark Golding, and he's very confident about the potential outcome of this general election. Well, so too is Dr. Andrew Holness, leader of the Jamaica Labour Party. He showed up moments ago here in St. Andrew Eastern to cast his vote right here at Mona High School. Now, this constituency is being contested by LPs Faval Williams, Duncan Sutherland, and Carl Cargill from the JPP. I spoke with Mr. Holness after he cast his vote, and this is what he had to say. Dr. Holness, Romardo TVJ, the latest Don Anderson poll shows the opposition ahead. He contends that his predictions have been accurate.
Don Anderson predicted in 2007, 2011. He predicted in 2016, predicted in 2020. Come on. You know, I'm not going to discredit any poll. Let me say that. But I don't listen to Don Anderson's poll.
This campaign trail has been clouded with talks of corruption. Do you think that will affect how some Jamaicans vote?
Without question. I mean, there are Jamaicans who will listen to the headline and not necessarily read the story. So that's something that we factor in. I think the challenge with corruption in Jamaica is that it has focused heavily on the name and shame, and you know, using bureaucracy to try to prevent corruption. I think there's another model, which is a model that actually works, and I've said it before, I say it again. Efficient systems can't be corrupted. So if you're trying to deal with corruption, you have to make systems efficient. And to make systems efficient, you want quick delivery of results, you want systems that are integrated, you want transparency, and you want of adjudication. So we are looking to, as we have announced, our speed program and increasing the efficiency of our public bureaucracy. And I think is where you're going to get the greatest gains against corruption.
What I've observed at polling stations in both constituencies is people strolling in here and there. A lot of people who we spoke to said that they wanted to come out as early as possible, head to the polling stations, cast their votes, and head back home before the crowd.
I got here a little after 7. There was no movement. I think because of some new arrangements. But after that, things started to move and everybody cooled down. There was a whole lot of chatting, We're wondering why we have to wait so long and all of that. But everything is going fine there now. And I'm happy I voted.
Send a message to people at home who are undecided. They don't know if they want to vote. They don't know if they're going to do it. What would you say to those people?
I tell them to come, because it's peaceful. There's a whole lot of security people here. And everybody seems to be engaged. There no violence. So come, do your vote and go home.
Now, the presence of the security forces, as you can see behind me, is very noticeable. And I've seen representatives from the Jamaica Defense Force, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, even some officers from MOCA. Now, I'll continue to monitor the situation in both constituencies and provide updates. It's back to you in studio, Janella.
Thank you so much, Romardo, there with that very comprehensive report. And Jody, before we comment on some of the points that came out of that interview, let's head over to St. Thomas. It's where our reporter Kirk Wright is currently standing by live. Is in East St. Thomas. Kirk is in East St. Thomas. Hopefully we will get back to him.
From Kirk right
We
there.
are going back to him now.
Yes.
Okay, let's take in that live report from Kirk Wright in St. Thomas.
Let me go back to Kirk right. All right. Come on, TV, Jen. Get the thing together on where Kirk Wright is in a man.
Okay, so we apologize, but we will try
from Kirk Wright again.
We will try to make contact with Kirk again as we try to sort out these technical issues. But lots to talk about from that interview with the Prime Minister. We have heard the debate over and over and about polls at the the influence voting one, and whether polls are true representation of
so how on TV just try my channel, so because I'm live.
I've covered this for years now.
We are looking at a snapshot in time when you look at a poll, when you're looking at the particular time that they go out into the field and ask questions, but it also is a reflection of where people are and where they're likely to be come election day. Now, today is the only poll that counts.
That is correct.
It's the only one that really matters. But we have had on the show Don Anderson as he talks to us about the market research services limited polls
and people are
in conjunction with
people upset because right now people them turn out, the voters them turn out, but the process slow.
Second at the very end of August, giving us a reflection of what's there on the ground. And while the Prime Minister said he does not pay attention to those polls, there has also been in research services that shows how accurate they have been in their predictions over the past few elections. So it certainly will be instructive for us to look today to see, as they have shown here, very close poll, no calling there, 3.1% divides both political parties with a margin of error plus or minus 3%, with a 95% confidence level that we are expecting to see very close numbers. Many of the seat predictions that we have show us very close numbers. Political organizations will say, and they must, Janella, that they are confident that they're going to be winning, but it is likely to be close. Now, all that said, we don't know what happens until later tonight.
That is correct.
And unlike other countries where they wait for
Like, we're doing a
their
live stream,
polling
like,
results
delete
and they
the
wait
live
for their
stream.
election
No,
results,
yeah.
we expect to go to bed tonight, thanks to the hard work of the Electoral Office of Jamaica and the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, to go tonight with a
But people
declared
don't think I
winner
go win an
when we go
election.
to
Drop
our
it in the
bed. So
comments and let
tonight,
me know.
we'll find out if those polls
Let me know when you
really
think I go win the
did
election.
tell us where we would be.
And I think it also boils down to organization, because as you would have observed, both parties over the past few weeks, certainly, they have been able to pull large crowds. And so, but crowds don't win elections. At the end of the day, it is going to boil down to which party was most organized on the ground, which party was able to get
Alright, let
their
me shift
people
back
out,
to the
and
TikTok
as
live.
early as possible, because that is very important, because persons might be turned
Yeah,
off.
we to see if I'm gonna
Just
go
say, for
back to
example, if it
Kirk
rains or
right
whatever
in
the case might
by
be.
St. Thomas
But
in there.
organization is
Yeah, we to see if I'm
extremely
gonna go back to Kirk
important. I
right.
was told, Jody, we're going to come to that point. I was told that we now have Kirk,
Oh, Kirk
right,
right
who
on
is
screen.
in St.
Alright, I'm
Thomas.
having
Kirk?
back.
Thank you very much. So we're here in Eastern St. Thomas, and we're behind the licensed primary school is behind me. That's where the PNP's Rosemary Shaw is expected to vote. Now, we saw her on her way here talking to her supporters, but she's not here. We're not sure what time she'll be voting, but earlier on, we were at the New Pira community where Dr. Mitchell Charles voted,
People on top of
and
the
we were
screen.
told
Share it
that's where
live.
she's from. Now, voting is progressing very slowly. We were there for about maybe an hour and a half, and for as long as we were there, only 3 persons voted. Dr. Charles being the 4th person. We got a chance to speak to her, and she was beaming with confidence that she would win. She told us that she's hoping that persons would think about getting water, road, a clinic. Those are the things that she's hoping that persons will consider and vote for her. Nevertheless, she said whatever their decision, she's willing to accept. But I'll let you hear exactly some of the other things that she said to us today when we spoke with her.
Any at all?
You know, I'm not nervous. I'm a child of God, and I believe that the Lord has a plan for my life, and I know that I have done my very best over the past 5 years. I have truly enjoyed being Member of Parliament. I have a very special love for St. Thomas Eastern, and I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous at all, because
Now, when we spoke with Rosemary Shaw on nomination day, she, as I said before, was confident that, she'd be victorious. And, let me remind you that she is a councillor, and she won in the last by-election. And based on that, she says, she thinks she has the momentum and that she will be victorious. So it's left to see at the end of the day what will happen. So we're waiting to get a chance to speak with her as soon as she votes here at the primary school. And then we'll be in touch, and we'll keep in touch and give you the latest here at Eastern St. Thomas Licensed Primary School.
Thank you so much, Kirk, right here in Eastern St. Thomas. Very interesting race, 2 very good candidates, and it's one of those seats that can go either
On
way.
top of the
Again,
screen,
Jody,
50 people there and 12 likes. Come on,
Well,
top of
let's
the
talk
screen
about
so
St.
more
Thomas
people can join
Eastern
the show.
first, because it's
And share
also a
the
place for
stream
that
as
third
well.
candidate that you were talking about,
Yeah,
that
they have to
space
coverage
for a
most of
third
the story,
candidate.
most
We
part
have
idea. So top of
independent
the screen,
candidate for
share
St.
out
Thomas
it.
Eastern, Claudius
I mean,
Wong,
top-
who's also
likes
on the
on the
ballot
stream
there.
and
And so
share
that
out the
again
stream, yeah.
gives persons an opportunity to incorporate third parties if they want to. And then we've spoken about the challenges of being able to do so. Part of what we see, though, in our polling when we get to these poll numbers is that there is no space in this polling for third parties to be represented.
Right.
So the poll questions, for example, speak about whether or not you're going to be voting for the JLP or the PNP and your reasons for doing so. We don't even have on our minds independent candidates or third party candidates, especially from the United Independence Congress and the Jamaica Progressive Party. JPP has fielded, in fact, enough candidates that on technicality, they could form the next government. They have enough people for the 32 seats, but we don't have that sort of discussion. And our polling, therefore, reflects the way that we see governance here in Jamaica. Two-party process, and one where both political organizations have to vie to the very, very end. But, as I said, the poll that matters is today.
The poll that matters is today, and we are going to see, or I think that we have already seen, where, you know, you have the political runners. We did a feature a few weeks ago on the runners and
big
the
up, you know.
important
Yeah, man,
role that
peace
they
at this
play
time.
in terms
Definitely.
of getting the elderly out, getting the persons who are disabled out. There is a well-oiled system, and I don't know if Chris has that there, but it would be interesting for persons to take a look at the fact that, again, it goes down to organization, and these are people who are from their role is so critical, and I think that is the feature. I want you to take a look at it. Can we go to it, Krista? Because we want to put it in context, the importance this role plays. So if we can cue this feature, we're going to run it. Okay, let's take a look at the role that runners play in getting people out to vote.
Road Cherry Brooks, more affectionately called Miss Cherry, a Jamaican since the 1970s. Miss Cherry says her love for politics started with her grandfather.
So you've been around politics for a while.
I remember one time of them election, I made a fairly day. And down at school voted. And so I dash upon the what. I will dip my finger in it and go over tell them to vote.
And you were not, right?
No. Her house in Kitson St. Catherine resembles a constituency office, an open-door policy to JLP supporters. Inside, a green sanctuary where the decor is the envy of Mother Nature.
Oh, the curtain green,
No,
the
I saw
bed.
this house green. Ever since.
So describe to me all the green stuff that we have in here. You list them out. Show me from the curtain.
This is the green curtain.
Mm-hmm.
This is the green spread.
Mm-hmm.
These are the green handbags and cups.
So you don't have any other color handbag?
No.
In every nook and cranny, photos of her party's leaders as if they were her own family. Her accolades carefully positioned as centerpieces. A laminated letter from former Prime Minister Edward Seaga, written in 1986, her most prized possession. She's worked with members of Parliament for St. Catherine, from the late Enid Bennett to Dr. Ken Bond and now Dr. Christopher Tufton.
I was the constituency secretary once.
Okay, and that was for who?
From Dr. Ball.
Okay. What did that entail? Like
work at his constituency office. In every election, I make sure I go to every polling station and see that everything is okay. It's not just one supervisor that sit down one place.
Kingsley Thompson and Raymond Roberts are two other JLP loyalists.
Me and Mr. Green, we're a psychiatry. You understand? We control PD 59, 60, and 61.
Together, they mobilize runners who canvass the communities, help citizens get enumerated, and verify the names on the voters list. They also record addresses for the transportation of elderly people and vulnerable citizens for election day. Mr. Roberts explains how it works.
I will send out about a twin runner. I have to try to go to the man doorway, the man folk up, reason at that level. So when election morning come, I give you my piece of paper with 20 names on it and 10 on the other one. I expect you go and bring them there to me. That by 11 o'clock, you must know how much vote you got.
Kingsley, who lost his leg recently due to health complications, says he has no plans of slowing down anytime soon.
I'm a person. I give Labour Party my all. You understand? So there's nothing going to be difficult for me to do from my party.
Do you think, the party is also appreciative of the work that you do?
Well, I know that my MP He stand behind me 100%.
People's National Party workers Tamika Allen and Michael Whittingham from Southwest St. Andrew are also gearing up for what they describe as the 2025 election sprint season.
The runner's job is important. The cluster manager's job, the canvasser's job is important. Their job all come together.
Not because they would regard Southwest St. Andrew as a safe seat. It is very stressful because to me, there is no safe seat and I don't take people for granted.
The pair, who worked with former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller, their MP, before she retired in 2017, admit that being a party worker can be stressful around this time.
I normally go to bed very late. I can't sleep. Phone ring probably all night. I'm up by early.
It's why they, like the GLP workers, want greater inclusion of the real benefits within the party.
We are foot soldiers. We are foot soldiers. And the thing about it is, no battle is won without the soldiers.
Both Big Mike and Tamika climbed through the ranks as political party workers. At one point, Tamika says it was her only job. The issue is that there is little to no job security. Scholarships and short-term employment aside, the workers reason that, like any opportunity, it requires personal drive.
Portia is the one that started that journey for me. Yes, I told her I wanted a job and she said, I am in opposition now and I don't have a job, Why you don't go to university? I said, I can't afford it. She said, go and find a school and come back to me. And that's how I ended up going to Michael. I did a certificate in counseling first. And she said, when that is finished, you come back to me. And so I started the degree in guidance and counseling.
Additionally, with the rise in voter apathy, this sport can slowly become unattractive. Still, they rejected the thought of running for any other team, even in the afterlife.
I have been doing this 20 odd years almost. Yes.
Do you think you're going to be hanging up your hat anytime soon?
As long as there's breath in my body, no.
Labour Party don't have no time. The only thing me say, when me dead, when they don't bury me, I'm going to return to cut. I'm not pay them in the beat you.
And so, as the runners gear up for another sprint season, they're fueling themselves for what many predict will be a close race.
Jody, these are the real MVPs of the election.
The rock stars who make the difference.
They are, because as you just heard, they run a very well-oiled machinery in terms of the canvassing, in terms of arranging the transportation for persons to get to the polling stations. And you would have heard the gentleman saying, listen, by 11 o'clock, I need to know who on my list has voted. And, I admire, I really admire their dedication.
Dedication, but also the importance that they have in the party machinery. For all that you hear about people on platforms talking about their need to get people out to vote, these are the people who actually make it happen. Mr. story is particularly interesting for me because for some people, they call this Jamaica Sports Day. Yeah, they've referred to it as Sports Day because this association of color, that is your political party, whether it is orange or green. Both the UIC and Jamaica Independence Congress have purplish colors in theirs. You're not seeing a lot of people wearing purple today, but your orange or green association is something that you would have seen in primary school. That association of your loyalty goes to this particular color. And therefore, in adulthood, we see that here. One person having only green in her entire house, showing her loyalty to her political organization. And so I think that that is something that we have and to continue for years to come.
Oh yes, definitely. And so it would be interesting to see who was able to get out more people. But then there's another set of people that we don't talk about, the undecided. At what point do you decide, okay, I'm going to vote today? Do you wait until 5? Do you wait until 5 to 5? I mean, at what point do you decide that, because we know that these persons, they focus on persons who are base of the party, but then you still have that other segment of society, the persons who are not necessarily loyalists, the persons who really and truly think about issues and not necessarily personalities. I'm curious to find out whether or not, you know, they have made up their mind, but you know what? It is your democratic right, and you do it for your country, you do it for your children, you need to vote.
I think you have two sets of undecided. If they're at this point in time, people who are still undecided. People who are undecided about who they're going to vote for, and they might make their decision up, or they make their mind up in the line. And then you have people who are undecided about whether they will vote at all. They're enumerated, they can go to vote. They might decide depending on if it rains, if it's not too hot, if they got lunch on time, they might go out to vote. I think that is going to be important. I think both political parties will need to pull into that pool and tap into that pool of persons who have not yet made a decision, especially in those marginal constituencies that you are looking to see 100, 200 votes making the difference. We've seen, for example, in St. Anne, where 37 votes made the difference. Every single vote will matter, and as persons fly into Jamaica to also make their voices heard, you're going to be seeing not only the popular vote be something that persons will look at, but also what the constituency breakdown looks like, because a party could win the popular vote, but popular vote doesn't matter here in Jamaica.
That is correct.
It's the constituency breakdown, and so not only do you need the persons to vote, but you need where they vote then to make the difference, so you get that seat in Parliament.
And just to add to that point, sometimes persons don't necessarily vote for a candidate. They're like, I'm voting X because I like this particular leader. So this is also very interesting, because I also heard in the political meetings, listen, yes, your candidate is Y, but this is what we're going to do. This is who we are putting forward, and this is...
Of course, and the idea is no matter who we put there,
yes,
vote for them because they are this political organization's representatives or the other. There has been, as a result of this, quite a lot of conversation about persons wanting two votes. A vote that reflects who they want to be their member of parliament in their constituency, and then another vote that allows them to indicate who they want to be prime minister or in charge. Jamaica's democratic system does not yet allow for that, but I say not yet because we have Constitutional Reform Committee decisions that can be made, but these discussions are certainly reflective of persons saying who I want to be my MP and who I want to run the country might not always match up.
All right, so we are winding down, and I can't believe that we have made it. It's almost 11:30, and
but the day is young.
The day is young, yes, and we really do hope that, I mean, despite the inconvenience, persons will stick with it. We were told that, well, we got something from the EOJ, which pretty much said doesn't have anything to do with the voter turnout as yet, but it is confirming that 100% of polling stations are now open. 99.5%, the release said, opened on time at 7 a.m. The rest were opened before 7:30 a.m. and the polling stations, Jody, will close at 5 p.m.
And to remind persons, if you're in the line at 5 o'clock, stay in the line. If you're inside the polling station at 5 o'clock, you will be able to vote. The closing of the polling station doesn't mean the end of voting, so you want to be in there and continue to have your ballot recorded.
All right, so, I was told that we have more. Okay, so we need to take a break now, but we're going to wrap up after. Please stay with us. Back to Vote 2025, TVJ's ongoing coverage of Jamaica's general elections. I'm Janella Precious, and I'm joined by my colleague and host of The Morning Agenda. She's also an attorney at law, Jody Ann Quarry. Jody.
Hi.
This is
last lap for us at least, because we have full day coverage, wall-to-wall coverage, making sure that persons understand what's going on outside as Jamaica Sports Day Election 2025 is underway.
All right, so I don't know if I should read this or do we go back to so I was told to say, as we wind down this segment of our coverage of the general elections, we now go to some footage of Jamaicans from the diaspora who have taken short trips back to their homeland just to vote in this hotly contested general election. Now, co-founder and managing director of the New York-based Caribbean Immigrant Services, Erwin Clare, says it's a talking point for the push for greater involvement of the diaspora in some of Jamaica's development.
Well, actually, there are quite a few persons, more so than in past years, that I'm aware of, who have actually made the trek to Jamaica to vote. This is indeed a consequential election. The diaspora is no different than those living at home, because wherever we live to, we consider Jamaica, and we feel there are many of us who are committed to this nation in more ways than one. Meaningful opportunities to integrate the diaspora into not only providing for schools, providing for hospitals, but at the level of the participation in decision making. Whereas we may not necessarily have the right to vote or vote in elections, I still feel that there are opportunities, whether it be in the Senate, whether it be on more statutory boards. There should be more overtures to research and find the skill sets. Jamaicans in the diaspora do possess skill sets that can contribute to nation building.
Jamaicans voting from overseas, well, that has been a topic that has been floating more so in this election season more than any other. TVG with the former director of elections, Fisher, as well as members of the diaspora.
JLP's term was security. You could have seen the big spend on security. So now,
as we try to get that All right, so we apologize for that technical glitch, but I love the fact that we're hearing more from members of the diaspora in this critical election, as we said. But you had a differing view.
Not differing, just wanting to expand the conversation. So the diaspora's inclusion in the elections is something that really has been coming up. There have been videos from diaspora audience members saying that they believe they should be able to vote in Jamaica's elections, saying one person that she thinks the elections would not be as close if the diaspora were able to get involved. Others saying that the diaspora is not living here in Jamaica. They are not part of the day-to-day cut and thrust of Jamaican life. And Jamaica's diaspora is particularly unique. We are one of the few places on the planet where we have as many people living inside Jamaica as outside of Jamaica, with 2.7 million people approximately, because I started off by saying we don't have a census yet, but approximately 2.7 million people living in Jamaica, 2.7 million people living outside. That means that we could be at the whims and fancies of people who do not have to deal with everyday Jamaican life, and that has been certainly a talking point. Others, though, from the diaspora say that they participate in Jamaican life, not only through remittances, but they also pay taxes here, have property here, and they're coming back here. They're out of the country, making some money for a little bit, but they continue to be looking at their homeland and continue to have a view on the direction that it should take. It certainly, though, is a big talking point. There's been discussions about senator seats for members of the diaspora, other conversations about the diaspora not understanding local issues on the ground, especially those who might have left in the 70s, 80s, 90s. They might have a different view of Jamaica in their heads. So it certainly is going to be a back and forth conversation that takes us not only to this election, but as we talked about social media and them being able to participate far outside of the country, they will have more and more voice, but also more and more insight in what's going on inside Jamaica.
All right, Jody. So let's go back to that clip from the former director of elections, Orette Fisher, who spoke about some of the challenges that present themselves and allowing persons to vote in other countries other than here.
Support it, that they convinced me and it's something that I would do, I would definitely go and support it because every vote counts.
We are not living it. We are not living in Jamaica the difficult moments and the trials and the tribulation and the fear and the hardships that Jamaicans go through while they're home. And I think it's unfair for us to put the pressure on any particular party by us having a vote.
I think the whole idea of Jamaicans in the diaspora voting at home, it's one of the things that, yes, it's a good thing to work on, but it's not, in my estimation, a major issue at this time. And especially the fact that, you know, for many of us who live in the United States, we're closer to Jamaica. The ability to remunerate you, we can still participate. Of course, it comes with some hurdles and some sacrifices. You still have the opportunity to come home and vote. But yes, it is something to work towards.
So if you were to open a polling station, for example, in Queens, New York, you would now need to ensure that all the persons who are supposed to vote, it's not like a presidential election where it's one ballot for everybody. So if there are 10 people from Kingston Central, 100 from Kingston West, you have to have those ballots specific for those persons because they are supposed to vote in relation to the constituency in which they quote unquote reside, because we know they are no longer resident in Jamaica, but where they were registered at least. And therefore, those ballots would have to be now placed in envelopes that would identify the constituency and sorted and sent back to the different stations in order to ensure that it is counted in the polling station. That brings up the whole question of security, integrity, and all that. So you'd have to know who are the persons who would be coming to vote, even if they don't all come out, but you know where they are registered, and ensure that you have adequate ballot to meet all the needs for each constituency when the persons come to vote. So if you walk into the station and you are from Hanover Western, I'd have to have a Hanover Western ballot to give to you, and then to place it after you have voted, it's put in an envelope with Hanover Western and dropped in the box. Then at the end of the day, all of that would have to be sorted by constituency when it gets back to Jamaica and sent to the relevant constituency of the county.
And that's our final diaspora check-in for this segment of TVJ's Vote 2025. We leave you with some advice on how you can know or how you can go on the EOJ's website to find out what polling station that you're registered to vote. Jody, you've been doing some research. Just tell the people what they need to do.
So you're going on the Electoral Commission of Jamaica's website, ecj.com.jm. On the front of the website, it will say Query Voters List. That's how you find out if you're on the voters list and where your constituency is, and not only that, where your polling division and polling stations are. So you go in, you give them your first name, your last name, and your date of birth, plug that information in, click Submit. There have been some errors that people have been seeing online if they're using Wi-Fi. So you might be using your data on your phone to make sure that you don't have an error message come up, and that will tell you where you are able to go and vote. Today, if you're undecided about voting or undecided who to vote for in the line, still participate in Jamaica's democracy.
All right. So I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great.
A fun time had.
And it's going to get more interesting. Again, we're asking you just be patient. There are some places the line will pretty much move at crawl space. So what you need to do, as Jody says, bring a book. You have your phone.
Bring water. Bring a cap. Bring your umbrella. Bring a folding chair if you have one.
And just be patient.
Make friends. The people in your PD are people who you live nearby. Yeah. Make a friend, a family member, loved one. See people you haven't seen in a while. And understand that part of the inconvenience of democracy is just a little sun hot, a little rain catch you, but it really is worth it for you to be able to have your voice heard.
Thank you so much, Jody. Thank you for keeping me company this morning.
A pleasure, Janella.
And I want to say to our viewers, please stay tuned for more continuous coverage of Vote 2025. Coming up at midday, we have the news, and then at 1 o'clock, we have a youth conversation. I wouldn't call it a debate, it's a conversation. And then at 4 o'clock, at 4:30, primetime news, and at 5:30, the big show, our results show, hosted by Dion Jackson Miller, will begin. I'm Janella Precious on behalf of my colleague, Jody Ann Quarry. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Jamila Maitland and welcome to On the Campaign Trail, TVJ's look at all the happenings in the race to Gordon House. In today's show, we'll take you on a flashback of election 2020, which happened in the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll also look at some of the seats to pay very close attention to and the respective candidates. And later, who are the ghost electors? So please stay with us. On the Campaign Trail, we'll be right back. Welcome back to On the Campaign Trail. If you haven't already noticed, the country is in election mode. Throughout the length and breadth of Jamaica, political billboards and flags are up, while the two main political parties, the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party, have been hosting various meetings in different parishes. The governing JLP is trying to create history by winning a third consecutive term, while the opposition, the PNP, is hoping to return to power under a new leader since Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller. But before we delve into the issues on the campaign trail, let's take a look back at the last general election 5 years ago.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water.
Aside from the political advertisements,
the flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other.
Was one of the many infomercials that dominated Jamaica's airwaves in the summer of 2020. From how the general election date was announced to campaigning and celebrations thereafter, the election cycle was anything but ordinary. It was held nearly 6 months after the country went into a tizzy when it recorded its first COVID-19 case. With that came restrictions on how people interacted.
I don't really like it. I notice that me get up and all these things.
I've been preparing from before the virus was confirmed.
So mask wearing, hand sanitizing, social distancing became the new normal. Or was it? Political parties were forced to get creative in how they engaged the electorate, as large gatherings were banned. Spot meetings were made popular as they tried to limit the spread of COVID-19. Arguably, the fear of contracting the virus was seemingly spreading more than the virus itself. It was reflected in the September 3 polls. Only 37% of the 1.9 million registered voters participated.
A lot of the elderly people in the Norman Gardens there, Springfield, they're afraid to come out, even with our urgings.
According to the Electoral Office of Jamaica is the lowest voter turnout since 1983, when the People's National Party did not contest the election. In the end, the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, secured a massive victory with...
There is indeed cause for celebration, but there is also, I would believe, significant cause for consideration. There are many Jamaicans who did not participate.
Were you shocked by the result, sir?
It was unexpected.
The landslide victory triggered the resignation of then PNP President Dr. Peter Phillips, and then came a contentious leadership race for the helm of the party. Ultimately, Mark Golding emerged the victor.
I stand here this evening having been duly elected the 6th president of our great movement, the People's National Party.
Fast forward to 2025, and the JLP is looking for a repeat, or three-peat as they call it. The party has never secured 3 consecutive terms. Meanwhile, the PNP wants to make its own history as they try to return to office since Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller. And so, when the 2025 general election is called, which party will form the next government? But of course, we'll have to wait and see. Now, the 2020 election wasn't the only time a political party dominated the polls in such a massive way. Take a look at this.
In 1976, when the constituencies were increased to 60, the PNP won 47 seats to the JLP's 13. In 1980, the JLP took 51 seats while the PNP won 9. In 1993, the PNP secured 52 seats compared to the JLP's 8. And in 1983, the December 15 elections saw the JLP winning all 60 constituencies after the PNP boycotted the general elections. Of note, voter turnout was a mere 28.94%. Stevie and Winter for On the Campaign Trail.
As we mentioned earlier, the JLP and the PNP have been hosting political rallies all over the country. One of the major talking points has been the rural school bus program.
These buses that I'm bringing in, these are not pre-owned vehicles. These are retired old bus. Many are over 10 to 15-year-old with hundreds of thousands of miles on the clock.
I want to introduce a rural transportation support for up to 20,000 children initially, and we will grow it over time as resources improve. Right now it's only 7,500 get that benefit on the path. A subsidy of $2,500 a week so them can get to school and get home comfortable.
Peter Bunting talking about how the bus them gonna kill off. And hear him. I wouldn't put my picnic them on that bus. His picnic them no riding at them the same thing. They chauffeur driver in air conditioned vehicles. What they take with her? They take us a bunch of idiots.
It's time for a break. We'll be right back. Some 2.1 million Jamaicans are registered to vote in this year's election. That's according to the Electoral Office of Jamaica. It represents the largest number of people ever enumerated. But did you know there are dead people still on the voters list? According to the EOJ, it is well aware of the issue that has been plaguing its systems for decades.
2,077,799. That's how many people are eligible to vote in the upcoming general election. But not all of them can vote. Those on the list are ghosts of elections past.
There are some persons on the list that we have died, but we can't remove them until we get the necessary supporting document.
Glasspool Brown is Director of Elections. He's acknowledged the long-standing issue. Here's what should happen. The Office of Registrar General provides information on deaths to the EOJ to clean the voters list. But Manager of Civil Registration and Vital Statistics, Monique Morris, admits that there are challenges.
The person may have died this week or a long time ago. They will come back and say, this is not the spelling of the name, the age is wrong, various information. So what we implore the public to do when you're collecting the certification of death, whether the medical certificate from the doctor or the Form D, ensure that you read it properly to ensure that the details are correct.
Data from the Office of Registrar General shows that between 2002 to 2024, it recorded 409,542 registered deaths. Since 2005, the EOJ removed 285,949 dead people from the list. The gap is due to a series of issues. First is sorting the list to find those of voting age, then identifying those that are enumerated, and then sending a team into the field to verify that they have indeed passed. Additionally, a registered death does not have a unique number for each person, a challenge Ms. Morris is confident that NIDS will solve.
So it will provide a more definitive way of accurate registration as well as accurate updating of the voters list.
Issues like this, however, can give rise to fraud if someone uses the ID of a deceased person to vote. So how then is the EOJ addressing this?
There have been attempts in the past, but there are mechanisms that we have in place.
Mr. Brown says the EOJ has been using technology to verify the identities of citizens.
We do a comparison of your fingerprint with the entire database. So therefore, every individual fingerprint will then be compared to a database which have in excess of 2.1 million other fingerprint data set. And the reason for that is that it helps us to prevent duplication of registration.
Additionally, he says the election day workers are better trained to identify fraud. If found guilty of impersonation, aiding, abetting, counseling, or procuring the commission of the offense of impersonation, citizens can be fined between $10,000 and $40,000 or sentenced to up to 5 years in prison by a resident magistrate. If found guilty in a circuit court, the fines are between $50,000 and $250,000 or at least 5 years in prison. That aside, there are concerns that an unclean voters list negatively impacts voter turnout.
There's some amount of individuals that are on the list which maybe give a wrong indication when a voter turnout is a figure is calculated, because you're using a base that is somewhat inflated.
Senior PNP member Peter Bunting argues that the voter apathy being reported, while true, is overly exaggerated, adding that Jamaicans who've migrated are still on the list.
I would estimate that somewhere around 25 to 30% of persons on that list actually are not available to vote.
Equally challenging are those who've migrated and have died overseas. That data sometimes go years without being verified. Additionally, the dead is also costing the living. The budget for the upcoming election is $2.5 billion. At the time of the interview in early July, Glasspool Brown revealed that the EOJ will be seeking additional funds from the government.
In the last election, we printed 1.9. We're looking to print in excess of 2,077,000 thereabout for the upcoming election. We have to print a ballot for every elector or every person that is on the voters list.
Currently, the EOJ must print ballots for every single voter on the voters list. In the case of the upcoming election, it means 2,077,799 ballots.
We have to print a ballot for every elector or every person that is on the voters list, because we're not too sure exactly on the day itself how much person or the individuals that will turn up, and therefore our preparation is assuming that the turnout is 100%.
With the 37% turnout in 2020, it meant that the majority of the ballots were wasted. And although the turnout for the upcoming election is predicted to be better, stakeholders argue that legislation, policies, and procedures should be revised to improve the integrity of the voters list and build confidence in the election.
We're at our final break now, but there's more to come. Welcome back to On the Campaign Trail. For months now, candidates have been going door to door trying to make a case for your vote. But we turn our spotlight on a dark undercurrent in our democracy, a practice as old as politics itself, vote buying. Here's Romardo Lyons.
Voter turnout in general elections in Jamaica has been on a steady decline over the years. 2011, 53.2%, 2016, 48.4%, 2020, 37.8%. In 2020, both the government and the opposition agreed that the public needed to be addressed on the importance of voting.
We must, in this term, institute a strong program of civic education.
I believe each political organization has to take it on as something that we separately consider.
But is there a link between the dwindling number of Jamaicans inking their fingers, exercising their constitutional right, and the growing reports of politicians resorting to buying votes? I put the question to political analyst Damian Gordon.
The promises of politicians can no longer sway them to vote. And even candidates with good ideas may not be sufficient to sway them to vote because they've reached a level of disinterestedness, which means that increasingly, in order to get some of them to vote, you have to provide some form of incentive.
The fact that politicians are willing to comply, Mr. Gordon argues, is a sign of failure.
The fact that you buy my vote, it does not mean that I am engaged. It doesn't mean that I'm enthusiastic. It doesn't mean that I hold you in a regard. I'm just thinking about the immediate and the direct material benefit of voting. So that does not address the broader issue of apathy.
In an opinion piece in The Gleaner in 2020, social anthropologist Dr. Herbert Gale said 3 variables influence vote selling: economics, apathy, and age. He added that Jamaicans who expressed both parties were bad were more than twice likely to sell their votes than traditional voters.
Labor rights help me. I keep my fish fry the 28th of this month because I want to put on my upstairs and then buy my 3 bag of chicken and then me a vote for.
So what if the PNP had bought you the same thing?
I'm just gone over to PNP. I'm not ask price. And the better party sales. If PNP come right now, I'm buying me 4 bag of chicken and that's my thing there.
Some older Jamaicans say their integrity comes first. If a politician were to approach you right now, offer you money to vote for him, would you do it?
My response would be hell no, sir. Because at the end of the day, we all should keep in consideration that we need to have a society built on honesty, integrity.
Not amount of money. I would not switch. No, I don't sell votes. I don't want to sell my votes.
On the flip side, Daniel Archer, Principal Director of the National Integrity Action, says vote buying isn't limited to giving someone cash in exchange for a vote.
Our voting buying is not just to tell you to go and vote, you know.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. PNP and JLP leaders cast ballots. Security deployed amid allegations of voter intimidation. And TVJ News brings in-depth reports from voting locations across the island. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carrie-Ann Simpson. Now the details. We begin with Romardo Lyons, who spoke with JLP leader Andrew Holness that Dr. Andrew Holness ballot earlier this morning. Romardo, how has it been going so far?
So as you heard earlier, I spoke with opposition leader Mark Golding, and he's very confident about the potential outcome of this general election. Well, so too is Dr. Andrew Holness, leader of the Jamaica Labour Party. He showed up moments ago here in St. Andrew Eastern to cast his vote right here at Mona High School. Now, this constituency is being contested by the JLP's Favour Williams, the PNP's Patricia Duncan Sutherland, and Carl Cargill from the JPP. I spoke with Mr. Holness after he cast his vote, and this is what he had to say. Dr. Holness, Romardo TVJ, the latest Don Anderson poll shows the opposition ahead. He contends that his predictions have been accurate.
Don Anderson predicted in 2007, 2011. He predicted in 2016, and he predicted in 2020. Come on, you know, I'm not going to discredit any poll. Let me say that. But I don't listen to Don Anderson's poll.
This campaign trail has been clouded with talks of corruption. Do you think that will affect how some Jamaicans vote?
Without question. I mean, there are Jamaicans who will listen to the headline and not necessarily read the story. So that's something that we factor in. I think the challenge with corruption in Jamaica is that it has focused heavily on the name and shame, and you know, using bureaucracy to try to prevent corruption. I think there's another model, which is a model that actually works, and I've said it before, I say it again. Efficient systems can't be corrupted. So if you're trying to deal with corruption, you have to make systems efficient. And to make systems efficient, you want quick delivery of results, you want systems that are integrated, you want transparency, and you want a fair process of adjudication. So we are looking to, as we have announced, our speed program and increasing the efficiency of our public bureaucracy. I think that is where you're going to get greatest gains against corruption.
What I've observed at polling stations in both constituencies is people strolling in here and there. A lot of people who we spoke to said that they wanted to come out as early as possible, head to the polling stations, cast their votes, and head back home before the crowd.
I got here a little after 7. There was no movement. I think because of some new arrangements. But after that, you know, things started to move and everybody cooled down. There was a whole lot of chatting, you know. People were wondering why we have to wait so long and all of that. But everything is going fine there now. And I'm happy I voted.
Send a message to people at home who are undecided. They don't know if they want to vote. They don't know if they're going to do it. What would you say to those people?
I tell them to come, you know, because it's peaceful. There's a whole lot of security people here. And everybody seems to be engaged. You know, there's no violence. You know, so come. You vote home.
Now, the presence of the security forces, as you can see behind me, is very noticeable. And I've seen representatives from the Jamaica Defence Force, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, even some officers from MOCA. Now, I'll continue to monitor the situation in both constituencies and provide updates.
Now to opposition leader Mark Golding. He was in St. Andrew Northeastern earlier. Mr. Golding addressed an issue that has been plaguing elections in recent years after he voted.
There's often concern about the number of youth showing up at polls to vote. Are you satisfied with your party's efforts to appeal to youth this election?
Listen, one can always do better, but we have done a fair amount. It's been an issue of concern to us as well. So that is why, as leader of the party, I implemented an innovation by appointing a junior shadow cabinet drawn from young people in their 20s, early 30s, from the PNP Youth Organization and the Patriots, which is our young professional arm. And that has given exposure to the members of the Junior Shadow Cabinet to speak on national issues and to raise the profile of the party among the youth, to show them that we are a party that respects young people and feels that their voice is important. and that they should be given opportunities to be heard. We've also had 2 youth rallies specific to young people during this campaign, and those were very well attended, very full of energy and went very well. And on all of our major rallies as well, we have at least 2 persons who speak for young people, 2 young people. And we have a lot of young candidates who are very attractive candidates and can speak eloquently and have been speaking eloquently. So I think, for those who follow the politics, they will see the efforts that we have made. The challenge is, of course, that many young people are just not at all interested in public affairs. And I think that's symptomatic of the world as a whole. That's not just a Jamaica thing. And I think it's to do with the way in which communication and information is shared nowadays and the sheer volume of things that people have access to. But we're doing what we can. Issue.
And in the past 2 elections, we saw voter turnout dwindling. Is that a concern for the People's National Party?
Well, we would like to see a high turnout. For one, I think a high turnout favors the opposition party in an election. 2020 was an aberration because it was during the COVID period. And indeed, it resulted in community spread occurring almost immediately after election day was announced. So that was an unusual situation. I don't think we can really give it too much statistical importance when it comes to voter turnout. But the polls have indicated an expectation that the turnout this time will be significantly higher than that.
We now turn our attention to central Kingston, where Halshane Burke is standing by with the latest on the voting activity. Halshane?
We are here in the central Kingston constituency, where the People's National Party's Steve McGregor is going up against the Jamaica Labour Party's Donovan Williams. We also have the UIC's Garth Barnett, who is contesting the seat. Now, the polling stands opened on time for the most part in the areas that we have visited. We have been seeing the feature of long lines, and let me tell you, the sun has been scorching. Persons have been in the lines for upwards of 40 minutes, but they are not daunted. Supporters of both major political parties say they are jubilant, they are expectant, and they are going to stick the course until the end. They are expecting that their candidate will emerge the victor at the end of the day. Now, we have noticed that members of the security forces are all around, dotting the constituency, keeping a keen eye on what is happening today. And so far, they are saying that it has all been peaceful. Right around the sound of vuvuzela, the sound of music, that has been punctuating the constituency, because everyone in the constituency is expecting that their candidate will emerge victor when the last ballot is counted.
Thank you, Halshane. Now, Shamela Pullen now gives us an update on what's happening in St. Anne.
All polling stations across the parish of St. Anne opened promptly at 7 a.m. this morning. Voters were there in as early as 6 a.m., determined to cast their ballots in this highly anticipated general election. St. Anne, which is divided into 4 constituencies, is expected to play a pivotal role in the national outcome. All eyes are especially on Northwest St. Anne, where People's National Party General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell, now the candidate in Eastern Westmoreland, was the MP from 2011 to 2020. Dr. Campbell cast his vote earlier in the constituency and expressed optimism about his PNP counterpart's chances of retaining the seat.
You couldn't tell much from what has taken place so far this morning, but just based on the preparation that we've had. This is a constituency that we've won more times than we've lost. We have ensured that we've gone out there and that we've re-energized and re-engaged the members of the party, and they are enthused, they're excited. The level of excitement among the PNP supporters now is currently very high, and those persons who are in the middle, quite a few of them have seen some things that they personally want to vote for. Persons find attractive the $3.5 million tax threshold, which will free up an additional $35,000 for over 200,000 persons.
Challenging the seat are Crystal Lee of the Jamaica Labour Party and Gabriella Morris representing the PNP. Ms. Lee is aiming to reclaim the seat for her party. JLP supporters also expressed strong confidence, stating that the ground response has been positive and they are hopeful of a favourable outcome.
Crystal is one of the hardest working member of parliament right about now in Northwest St. Anne, and I know with the work and the achievement that Crystal have done over the 4 years, she has not take this one home.
The one main achievement.
If you look from the Brownstone Road coming down, over the years that road in deplorable condition, and a one-term MP come, and if you realize even from Coolace is going back to Brownstone, we did well, and we have more to do.
Voting will continue throughout the day, with polls expected to close at 5 p.m.
To be frank, in that I am not a public speaker in the political arena. I am no party politics person. I vote my franchise and my vote is private.
Electoral officials have so far reported a smooth start to the day with no major incidents or delays. Shamila Pullen, TVJ News.
And now to Southeast St. Mary, where O'Shane Masters is standing by with the latest on voting activity. O'Shane, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Kerry. Now, I'm here at the Anotobe Primary and Infant School, where it's a buzz of activity for both the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party, where I've not seen much persons for the Jamaica Progressive Party, JPP, which is the other party running in this constituency. Now, on the JLP side, we have Dr. Norman Dunn. He is the incumbent. Now, he defeated the PNP's Dr. Shane Alexis in 2020. That was the election in the COVID-19 era. Now, that battle was known as the Battle of the Doctors. Now, Dr. Dunn is facing a new challenger in the person of Chris Brown of the People's National Party. Now, with a very vibrant lead up to this election, both parties are anticipating increased voter turnout and believe that the messaging of the respective parties has wooed their base. Now, in terms of activity at the polling divisions in Southeast St. Mary, things got off to a relatively smooth start, but some constituents complained of protracted wait times in the lines. Now, the newly formed Jamaica Progressive Party, as I mentioned earlier, is also fielding a candidate in that constituency. He is Mark Hutchinson. Now, in speaking with him earlier today at the Gibbs Hill Church of God, he said he believes the message of the party has resonated with its base. Now, let's go over to Western St. Mary. Things are also progressing smoothly. That seat is being contested by the JLP's Robert Montague, who is the incumbent. The PNP's Omar Woodbine and the UIC's Chase Neal are the other candidates in that constituency. Now, at a glance, that area has 5 divisions, namely Karen Hall, Retreat, Gale, Oracabessa, and Boscobel. 3 of those divisions are strongholds for the People's National Party. Now, it is left to be seen whether the party will mobilize their base to come out and vote in this September 3 election. And the same for the JLP, who has strongholds in 2 of those divisions. Now, it's left to be seen what the electorate will decide at the close of polls today. And remember, polls close at 5 p.m. But if you're in the line, you still have the chance, before 5 o'clock, you still have the chance to cast your vote. For now, O'Shane Masters report from the Anotobe Primary and School in Southeast St. Mary for TVJ News.
Thank you, O'Shane, and it's now time for a break, but stay with us. More Election Day activities when we return.
Keep up with your ultimate entertainment hub, Fame 95 FM, on the World Wide Web, fame95fm.com, on Instagram, Fame 95 FM 1, on YouTube, Fame 95 FM JA, Facebook and TikTok, Fame 95 FM.
You know it's Fame 95. Hey yo, you know.
The rhythm of your life. Keep up with your ultimate
With it, we can't do nothing about it, you know. The JLP's Daniel Lawrence is expected to vote here. He was slated to vote at 8 a.m., but he's not here as yet. Now, there are 6 names on the ballot to include Lawrence and the PNP's Dr. Dayton Campbell, but he already voted over in St. Anne. We spoke to one voter who told us because he was so excited, he got up from about 1 a.m.
The man only put through, you know, on my boss. The poor God I king.
I will continue to bring you the news over here in Eastern Westmoreland, as well as Western Westmoreland and Central Westmoreland. Stay tuned. Reporting for TVJ News, Kimberly Petty.
Now in Western Hanover, the security forces had to be called in following reports of alleged voter intimidation. Our reporter Anthony Logg is there. Anthony?
Thank you. So I'm currently in the town of Lucy here in Western Hanover, and it's 32 degrees here. The political temperature in Hanover, where the JLP's Tamika Davis will be going up against Heather Miller Bennett from the People's National Party. Now, things got off to a smooth start. However, we've gotten some reports that there have been reports of alleged voter intimidation. We spoke with JLP's General Secretary, Dr. Horace Chang, who provided some details moments earlier.
There are 1 or 2 reports of the field that there are alleged voter intimidation. I think the secretary was responded well, and candidates have responded well. More mischief than organized structure. We are back a rider one, puncture a couple of tires, or there's allegation of us too slow processing some station. They think it's deliberate, but those are small things that we are able to iron out all of those.
No, the Hanover Western constituency consists of 4 divisions: the Lucy Division, Caldwell Division, Green Island, and the Riverside Division. Now, the People's National Party will be looking to pull out all their supporters from areas like Green Island as well as the Caldwell Division. Now, the Jamaica Labour Party will be placing a lot of focus on the Riverside Division as well as the Lucy Division. But the PNP's Heather Miller says the party is looking to build on its performance that was made in the local government elections last year.
I'm telling you categorically that today, Riverside Division, Lucy Division, Green Island Division, Caldwell Division, we're winning all 4 just as we did in the local government election. It will be a clean sweep right across the constituency.
Now, the incumbent, Tamika Davis, sees things differently. This is what she had to say.
And what the local government elections did for us was highlight some of the areas that we were short. So we have addressed those, we have fixed those issues. And today we're just saying to Western Hanover, come out, vote for the Jamaica Labour Party, the party that has displayed performance.
We will be here on the ground in Western Hanover as well as Eastern Hanover, and will be monitoring the situation here on the ground and provide details a little later on. It's back to you in studio.
And we take another break, but stick around, more Election Day activities.
Peace, may I try bring some live on from TikTok with persons across the island. So me line up better, I'm gonna bring it across as soon as TVJ come back on online. I'm gonna bring it back across. So I'm about to bring it across to TikTok now. So now on top of the screen, not top of the screen, but live up the live share the stream as well, and leave your thoughts in the comment section and tell me who you think I go win this general election.
Welcome back. We now join Christopher Scott in Kintyre East Rural St. Andrew.
Thank you so much. I'm here at the Kintyre Post Agency in Kintyre District East Rural St. Andrew. Member of Parliament, the Jamaica Labour Party's Juliet Holness. Now she is being challenged by People's National Party Patrick Peterkin, attorney at law. She's had this constituency since the Peterkin were to win the seat. This will be the first time since Damien Crawford back in 2011 that a People's National Party member held this seat as the Member of Parliament. But Gillette Holness will be fighting strong. There's a lot of persons here. Pandemonium, but confusion, and as you can hear, a lot of noise.
This never happened. This has never happened. Everybody cooperate and go in. And I have been here from 7 o'clock this morning, and now it's what, 2:11 after 11, and I still don't go in.
The security forces are trying to calm the crowd in order for a peaceful and more organized voting process. But there are a lot of people here. Some people are here from 7 o'clock this morning and still have not been able to vote, but they're waiting. The decision rests with the voters. If you don't vote, you don't have a chance. Will Gillette Holness win this seat for a third straight term, or will Patrick Peterkin upseat Gillette Holness and get back East Rural St. Andrew to the PNP for the first time since 2011? We'll just have to find out. I'm Christopher Scott. Is back to you in studios.
Thank you, Christopher. We now go to St. Catharines Southeastern, where our reporter Raquel Porter is there.
Thanks, Karen. I'm coming to you from the Lions Club of Portmore, where the People's National Party Dr. Alfred Dawes has voted. After waiting in the line for about 30 minutes, Dr. Dawes voted around 9:47.
And I just cast my ballot for myself. A surreal feeling. But it's been a long journey. But where I am right now, I think that the process has molded me into being a better representative, having been with the people gone through some struggles, and it was really the people who were there for me. And right now that has created a debt for me to them. And it means that I must serve.
But the question here today is, can the Jamaica Labour Party's Robert Miller return to Garden House? Dr. Dawes said he can reclaim the seat.
I'm very confident. They're putting a lot of work. The team is excellent. They're very organized. They're out there. They're getting out the votes. And based on our numbers or estimates or canvas, we should take home the seat comfortably. We're going to overturn a 1,000 odd vote deficit from the last election, and we're going to win by a good margin.
Mr. Miller is expected to cast his vote at Cumberland High School at around 1 o'clock. Until then, back to you in studio.
Thanks, Raquel. Now, continuing the news, the Citizens Action for Free and Fair Elections Cafe says its preliminary reports point to a smooth start to today's general election. The group has deployed 32 roving observers and 470 indoor observers across the island. Between 9 and 11 this morning, reports from these observers indicate that 94% of polling station on time at 6 a.m., while 97% had all the necessary materials in place. CAFE noted that only about 7% of polling stations experienced any disruption, and these were described as minor. Just 2% of observers reported disorderly conduct. In 96% of stations, voters who were properly identified were allowed to cast their ballots. CAFE says it will investigate the reasons for any denials. The group also reported that some of its observers initially faced difficulties entering polling stations, but these issues were quickly resolved in collaboration with the Electoral Office of Jamaica. And here's what we have in the health report coming up this evening.
In this evening's health report, we look at politics and stress.
Politicians need to be sure that they have time to rest, have time to sleep. Sometimes even 5 minutes of being quiet, taking time by themselves can reset their mind and help them to get more energy. Making sure that they have a little sleep, and when they are quiet, they need a little bit of quiet time, get away from the crowd sometime. Deep breathing exercise.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. Prioritize mental health, establish support system, practice time management, limit alcohol intake, exercise, and rest.
And that's the midday news package. I'm Carrie-Ann Simpson. Stay around for our youth panel discussion at 1:10 and primetime news this evening at around 4:30. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good evening, good afternoon.
So, peeps, right about now, man, trying to get some TikTok live stream from my
Hi, I'm Jamila Maitland, and welcome to On the Campaign Trail, TVJ's look at all the happenings in the race to Gordon House. In today's show, we speak with pollster Don Anderson. We also examine the role of the political ombudsman, and our constituency profiles continue. So please stay with us. On the Campaign Trail, we'll be right back. Political polls are a strong indicator of voter intentions for elections. It gauges the public's views on national issues. Pollster Don Anderson has become a household name in that regard. In this report, we go beyond the ballots to explore how the numbers tell a story.
Political polls are used to measure the public's mood on certain issues. The findings, though opinionated, are empirical, which means there is a science behind it. In the latest RGR Gleaner Don Anderson poll, for example, 1,033 people were selected. But how did the pollster arrive at that number? And is it an accurate representation of the rest of the country?
Imagine a bowl of soup. If I take up a spoonful of that soup, just like that, it will not give me a good representation of how the soup tastes. But when I stir that soup nicely and I take up a spoonful of that soup, I can guarantee you that in that spoonful of soup are the ingredients represented in the proportions in which they are represented in the bowl of soup. That one spoonful, can suffice. But we go to the question of margin of error. So we have another spoonful stirred, another spoonful stirred, and what it does to enhance our appreciation of how the rest of the soup tastes. But do you need to drink the whole soup to know what it tastes like? By no means, no.
Don Anderson, who heads Market Research Services, has been conducting surveys for decades. His first political poll, however, was in 1988 when he was commissioned by former Prime Minister Edward Seaga.
My secretary said, Mr. Anderson, I got a call from the Prime Minister, Mr. Seaga. He would like to meet you at 2 o'clock this afternoon at Jamaica House. I'm growing in. I'd never met a Prime Minister before. All right. So I'm getting a summons, really you can't tell the Prime Minister you can't make it, regardless of what you're doing. He took out his little black book, which he was noted for, and he looked at it and he said, "It will please you to know that the data you have is within 1% of what Professor Carlstone has. We would like you to do some political polls for us."
Fast forward to 2025, and Mr. Anderson revealed that although political polls make up less than 10% of his actual business, they receive the most attention, partly because of the national impact. Polls help to gauge public opinions, shape campaign strategies, and can ultimately predict elections. And as Jamaicans prepare to go to the actual polls, Mr. Anderson says he's aware of the mounting criticisms of political polls. He, however, remains resolute in the validity of his studies.
We see the data, we call it as it is.
He revealed that the national polls are done face-based. Researchers go out in the field to ask questions, and the respondents must be eligible and must not be. Poll questions are drawn on Market Research Services based on the information the client wants. Respondents are not prompted, nor are their responses